Before I begin, I would like to greet you all in my own mother tongue. This presentation was based on theories, perspective, and philosophies of human development in socio-cultural context. So, what is human development? Human development is the process of controlling their life to gain more knowledge and enjoy the decent standard of life and enhancing individual capability to activate people to participate in shaping their lives. So here is Western theories of human development. One is Lev Vygotsky's sociocultural theory, Jean Piaget's constructivism, and Erikson psychosocial development theory. Vygotsky's sociocultural context. It is a definition of cognitive development occurs as result of social interaction, or learning is fundamentally a social process that happened through interactions, particularly with those who got more knowledge and skills. So now I take it to my own context, which is Kiribati. Every family always interact with their children to demonstrate skills which give a chance to maintain skills. So the second theory is Jean Piaget's constructivism. According to Jean Piaget's theory, argue that every person has 4 stages to gain knowledge, which include sensory motor, pre-operational, concrete operational, and formal operational. The sensory motor stage of cognitive development. During this earliest stage of cognitive development, infants and toddlers acquire knowledge through sensory experiences and manipulating objects. A child's entire experience at the earliest period of this stage occurs through basic reflexes, senses, and motor responses. Major characteristics and developmental changes during this stage. Know the world through movements and sensations. Learn about the world through basic action such as sucking, grasping, looking, and listening. Learn that things continue to exist even when they cannot be seen. Realizes that they are separate beings from the people and objects around them, and realize that their actions can cause things to happen in the world around them. During the sensory motor stage, children go through a period of dramatic growth and learning. As kids interact with their environments, they continually make new discoveries about how the world works. The cognitive development that occurs during this period takes place over a relatively short time and involves a great deal of growth. Children not only learn how to perform physical actions such as crawling and walking, they also learn a great deal about language from the people with whom they interact. Piaget also broke this stage down into substages. Early representational thoughts emerged during the final part of the sensory motor stage. By learning that objects are separate and distinct entities and that they have an existence of their own outside of individual perception, children are able to begin to attach names and words to objects. That's the second stage is the pre-operational stage, which happens to 2 to 7 years. The foundation of language development may have been laid during the previous stage, but the emergence of language is one of the major hallmarks of the pre-operational stage of development. Major characteristics and development changes during this stage. Begin to think symbolically and learn to use words and pictures to represent objects. Tends to egocentric and struggle to see things from the perspectives of others. Getting better with language and thinking, but still tend to think in very concrete terms. At this stage, kids learn through more skills at pretend play during. At this stage, kids learn through pretend play, but still struggle with logic and taking the point of view of other people. They also often struggle with understanding the idea of constancy. For example, a restator might take lump of clay, divide it into two equal pieces, and then give a child the choice between two pieces of clay to play with. One piece of clay is rolled into a compact ball, while the other is smashed into a flat pancake shape. Because the flat shape looks larger, the pre-operational child will likely choose that piece, even though the two pieces are exactly the same size. The third stage is concrete operational stage. This is happened to 7 to 11 years. The concrete operational state of cognitive development is defined as while children are still very concrete and literal in their thinking at this point in development, they become much more adept at using logic. The egocentrism of the previous stage begins to disappear as kids become better at thinking about how other people might view a situation. Major characteristics and development changes during this stage. Begin to think logically about concrete events. Begin to understand the concept of conservation, that's the amount of liquid in a short white cup is equal to that in a tall, skinny glass. Thinking becomes more logical and organized but still very concrete. Begin using inductive logic or reasoning from specific information to a general principle. While thinking becomes much more logical during the concrete operational states, it can also be very rigid. Kids at this point in development tend to struggle with abstract and hypothetical concepts. During this stage, children also become less egocentric and begin to think about how other people might think and feel. Kids in the concrete operational stage also begin to understand that their thoughts are unique to them and that not everyone else necessarily shares their thoughts, feelings, and opinions. The last stage is formal operational stage. The formal operational stage of cognitive development is the final stage of Piaget's theory involves an increase in logic, the ability to use deductive reasoning, and an understanding of abstract ideas. At this point, adolescents and young adults become capable of seeing multiple potential solutions to problems and think more scientifically about the world around them. This stage is occurred at the age of 12 upward. Major characteristics and developmental change during this time begins to think abstractly and reasons about hypothetical problems. Begin to think more about moral, philosophical, ethical, social, and political issues that require theo- theoretical and abstract reasoning. Begins to use deductive logic or reasoning from a general principle to specific information. The ability to thinking about abstract ideas and situations is the key hallmark of the formal operational stage of cognitive development. The ability to systematically plan for the future and reason about hypothetical situations are also critical abilities that emerge during this stage. Sociocultural context. So, according to Jean Piaget's theory, and this theory closely related to the Kiribati theory, because they cannot perform any task until they observe it or experience it from their parents or from their teachers. The last theory is Erikson theory. Erikson theory outlines 8 stages of human development, which is trust vs mistrust, autonomy vs shame and doubt, initiative vs guilt, industry vs inferiority, identity versus raw confusion, intimacy versus isolation, generativity versus stagnation, and integrity vs despair. Stage 1 is trust vs mistrust. The first stage of Erikson theory of psychosocial development occurs between birth and 1 year of age and is the most fundamental stage in life because an infant is utterly dependent. Developing trust is based on the dependability and quality of the child's caregivers. At this point in development, the child is utterly dependent upon adult caregivers for everything they need to survive, including food, love, warmth, safety, and nurturing. If a caregiver fails to provide adequate care and love, the child will come to feel that they cannot trust or depend upon the adults in their life. The outcome is if a child successfully develops trust, the child will feel safe and secure in the world. Givers, caregivers who are inconsistent, emotionally unavailable, or rejecting contributes to feelings of mistrust in the children under their care. Failure to develop trust will result in fear and a belief that the world is inconsistent and unpredictable. During the first stage of psychosocial development, children develop a sense of trust when caregivers provide reliability, care, and affection. A lack of this will lead to mistrust. So it is also said that no child going to develop a sense of 100% trust or 100% doubt. Erikson believed that successful development was all about striking a balance between the two opposing sides. When this happens, children acquire hope, which Erikson described as an openness to experience, tempered by some wariness that danger may be present. Stage 2 is autonomy vs shame and doubt. The second stage of Erikson theories of psychosocial development takes place during early childhood and is focused on children developing a greater sense of personal control. The role of independence. At this point in development, children are just starting to gain a little independence. They are starting to perform basic action on their own and making simple decisions about what they prefer. By allowing kids to make choices and gain control, parents and caregivers can help children develop a sense of autonomy. So the outcome is when children struggle and who are shamed for their accidents may be left without a sense of personal control. Success during this stage of psychosocial development leads to feeling of autonomy. Failure results in feeling of shame and doubt. So, children who successfully complete this stage feel skilled and confident, while those who do not are left with a sense of inadequacy and self-doubt. Erikson believed that achieving a balance between autonomy and shame and doubt would lead to will, which is the belief that children can act with intention within reason and limits. Stage 3 is initiative vs guilt. The third stage of psychosocial development takes place during the preschool years. At this point in psychosocial development, children begin to assert their power and control over the world through directing play and other social interactions. Children who are successful at this stage feel capable and able to lead others. Those who fail to acquire these skills are left with a sense of guilt, self-doubt, and lack of initiative. The outcome is and the major theme of the third stage of psychosocial development is that children need to begin asserting control and power over the environment. Success in this stage leads to a sense of purpose. Children who try to exert too much power experience disapproval, resulting in a sense of guilt. When an ideal balance of individual initiative and a willingness to work with others is achieved, the equal quality known as purpose emerges. Stage 4 is industry versus inferiority. The fourth psychosocial stage takes place during the early school years from approximately age 5 to 11. Through social interaction, children from children begin to develop a sense of pride in their accomplishments and abilities. Children need to cope with new social and academic demands. Success leads to a sense of competence, while failure results in feelings of inferiority. So the outcome says that when children who are encouraged and commended by parents and teachers develop a feeling of competence and belief in the skills. Those who receive little or no encouragement from parents, teachers, or peers will doubt their abilities to be successful. Stage 5 is identity versus confusion. The fifth psychosocial stage takes place during the often turbulent teenage years. This stage plays an essential role in developing a sense of personal identity, which will continue to influence behavior and developments for the rest of a person's life. Teens need to develop a sense of self and personal identity. Success leads to an ability to stay true to yourself, while failure leads to raw confusion and a weak sense of self. During adolescence, children explore their independence and develop a sense of self. Those who receive proper encouragement and reinforcement through personal exploration will emerge from this stage with a strong sense of self and feelings of independence and control. Those who remain unsure of their beliefs and desires will feel insecure and confused about themselves and the future. Stage 6, Intimacy vs. Isolation. Young adults need to form intimate, loving relationship with other people. Success leads to strong relationship, while failure results in loneliness and isolation. This stage covers the period of early adulthood when people are exploring personal relationship. Erikson believed it was vital that people develop close, committed relationships with other people. Those who are successful at this step will form relationships that are enduring and secure. Stage 7, Generativity vs. Stagnation. Adults need to create or nurture things that will outlast them, often by having children or creating a positive change that benefits other people. Success leads to feelings of usefulness and accomplishments, while failure results in shallow involvement in the world. During adulthood, we continue to build our lives, focusing on our career and family. Those who are successful during this phase will feel that they are contributing to the world by being active in their own and community. Those who fail to attain this skill will feel unproductive and uninvolved in the world. The last stage of Erikson theory is integrity vs. despair. The final psychosocial stage occurs during old age and is focused on reflecting back on life. At this point in development, people look back on the events of their lives and determine if they are happy with the life that they lived or if they regret the things they did or didn't do. Erikson's theory different from many others because it addressed development throughout the entire lifespan, including old age. Older adults need to look back on life and feel a sense of fulfillment. Success at this stage leads to feelings of wisdom, while failure results in regret, bitterness, and despair. At this stage, people reflect back on the events of their lives and take stock. Those who look back on a life they feel was well lived will feel satisfied and ready to face the end of their lives with a sense of peace. Sociocultural context. One is experiencing 8 stage of development. 2. Training themselves to know between right doing or wrongdoing. And the last is learning themselves to overcome any challenges set by elders of the family or teachers. So the last slide is bibliography, and here is the sources that I retrieved some information from, so you can search it to read the information.